coercion, and infant indoctrination. The direct practical coercion of segregation and discriminatory policies and business practices like that occur in the housing market has led to an environment of limited resources. Although residential segregation was made illegal in 1917, racial profiling still occurs in the housing market when blacks and Latinos are shown fewer properties than their white counterparts and are charged more for the same home than whites. Within an environment plagued with residential segregation, municipal facilities are lacking. In this environment, individuals are forced to adapt to their feasible sets by working multiple jobs and or committing crimes. Some join gangs because of the limited opportunities for legal employment caused by discriminatory policies that prevented black Americans from working jobs in the suburbs. Those same jobs helped further the decline of the inner city by leaving the inner city areas for the growing suburbs. According to Hagedorn, not only are youth in gangs made up of the underclass, but when members attained employment, they left gangs or matured out. This type of data illustrates my argument that individuals commit crime as a means of survival in areas of limited resources. These are direct forms of practical coercion. However, with direct practical coercion, the coercer does not exceed the rational capacities or the rational capabilities of the one coerced. This brings us to the next more insidious form of coercion: indirect, compelled, Doxastic coercion. Another form of coercion is direct Doxastic coercion. Doxastic coming from the Greek word for belief. Though an agent may seem to have a genuine expression of changed belief made under duress, the ever-present and high possibility of harm motivates the expression, thus the belief is not genuine. On the other hand, indirect Doxastic coercion can be achieved when a coercer is influenced to believe something via threat. This type of coercion is similar to the parenting technique of establishing consequences for undesirable behavior. Direct compelled coercion occurs when one is frightened to the point where they are not thinking, but they are obeying the coercer because rationality has been pushed to the periphery. The way in which a child's indoctrination differs from this parenting technique helps to define the unique circumstances of indirect compelled Doxastic coercion, where individuals have coercively compelled, where individuals have been coercively compelled to believe they have good evidence or reasons for their beliefs. This mindset is typical in an authoritarian state where the state is incentivized to justify its self-serving regime, so it harshly punishes people who express dissenting opinions. This form of coercion resembles the indoctrination of the infant. Balankaya opens her article on child gang indoctrination with the image of the recruitment of a 1-year-old into membership. Covered in red attire, individuals are covered in red gang attire and adorned in semi-automatic weapons. The nickname Blood Drop is earned by members of the gang who are comparatively young and often initiated by their parents. A child is still developing the capacity for rational choice. Therefore, only instances of promised violence between developed rational adults fit into direct practical coercion. According to Bell and Kaya, some of the misguided parents think teaching little ones the gang life is cute. Some refer to this indoctrination as being blessed into it. King Iron Man, a Bronx member of the almighty Latin King and Queen Nation gang, refers to this process with positive language in the article. Balankai includes the article with this quote: "No child is born evil, they are taught evil things." This pattern of criminal education is a form of coercion adults used in child rearing. Many of the adults who use this form of coercion have themselves been coerced under a similar process. Also, they may live in an area where you simply have to choose which side you are on to survive. So even if the parents did not think it was cute, they might be incentivized to raise their children in a gang to give their child protection. If children had a better grasp of rational choice, or had a better grasp on rational choice, tenets of compelled practical coercion would accurately describe that interaction. Indirect compelled doxastic coercion occurs when the coercer seeks or manages to supply or manages to simply overwhelm the coercer or manages to simply overwhelm the coerced one's capacity for practical deliberation, forcing all other considerations to the periphery of the coerced one's consciousness and compelling the coerced one to act as instructed. However, infants do not have a developed capacity for practical deliberation. Even despite this fact, an argument made from the compelled coercion perspective potentially describes that interaction in an accurate fashion. Even though the infant does not have a developed capacity for rational choice, whatever the level of capacity the child has is pushed to the periphery. As the child ages, the child develops a stronger capacity for rational choice. Beliefs about gang life are implanted at an early age and are reinforced by exposure to evidence of their beliefs in an environment of limited resources. As the child develops into an adult, she justifies actions with beliefs formed in areas of scarcity. This belief can be reinforced by other members of the environment who reflect those views. If the individual were removed from the coercive environment and provided with access to a larger number of opportunities and incentives, the agent would have the potential to recognize these incentives and opportunities and respond to them. Environmental factors such as job scarcity and peers may compel one to sell drugs for a living as a means of survival.